stop scrolling, because the most viral fight on your phone tonight isn't Kendrick's crew versus Drake's crew. It's your timeline versus the truth. That shaky clip blowing up your feed, the one with captions yelling "OVO versus Kendrick" after the Toronto show, is a textbook case of the internet telling you what to see before you see it. Look closely, and the twist is right there. The people in the video are said to be Drake affiliates, yes, but they are not brawling with Kendrick's team. The story that took off was cleaner than reality, angrier than reality, and way more clickable than reality. And that's exactly why it worked. The real confrontation happening right now is between hype and context. And tonight we're flipping the script. Slowly, clearly, and with your brain turned on. You're watching Scandal News. Let's back up to the spark that set the algorithm on fire. On June 12, 2025, Kendrick Lamar walked into Toronto's Rogers Centre and turned "Not Like Us" from a diss into a stadium chant. Toronto isn't just any stop on a tour calendar, it's Drake City, the place woven into his story, image, and sound. Fans online point out that Drake has never headlined a full tour show at that specific stadium, which only added to the symbolism. Whether you think that detail is a nitpick or a milestone, it set the stage for a moment built to trend. Kendrick didn't just perform in the rival city, he took over an address many fans believe was still waiting for the hometown king to claim. In that way, then the beat dropped. "Not Like Us" rolled out, and the building detonated. Reports of a 2-minute ovation, people in OVO gear rapping every bar. Encores called for like this was the home team's anthem. Inside, it sounded less like entertainment and more like a verdict. If you're a Drake loyalist, it stung. If you're a Kendrick supporter, it felt like coronation. If you're neutral, it was simply undeniable. A diss aimed at the city's favorite son shaking the biggest room in town. Here's what didn't happen that night. A stadium riot. Security was heavy outside. Police presence was noticeable, but inside, the show stayed peaceful. The energy was loud, not violent. That matters because hours later, a new clip blasted across social media and the captions did the rest. Kendrick's team and Drake's people fight after the show. It had rhythm, it had timing, and it slid perfectly into the emotions that Toronto had unlocked. The problem? The clip doesn't show what the caption claims. The video features a scuffle involving people said to be tied to Drake, but not a face-off with Kendrick's camp. That isn't a nitpick, it's the whole point. Once a feud crosses from lyrics to real life in the audience's imagination, any punch becomes proof, even if it belongs to a different story. To understand why this miscaption stuck so hard, you need the road that led here. The story didn't start this summer. Roll back to 2013 and Kendrick's Control verse, when he called out names, including Drake's, and reframed competition as a public dare. It wasn't a full war, but it set a tone. Fast forward to 2024, and his line on "Like That," rattling the Big Three idea and pushing a simmering rivalry to a boil. Disses flew in both directions. "Not Like Us" landed and stuck, mean enough to hurt and simple enough to chant. By February 9th, 2025, when Kendrick featured the record at Super Bowl 59, the song had outgrown the beef. It was a cultural moment. Hooks that live on that stage don't stay in headphones. They migrate to arenas, parade floats, high school gyms, and yes, rival cities. Put that energy in Toronto, Drake's home, and you get the image burned into the internet. A sea of phones, a floor vibrating, a chorus bellowed from the stands, and a chorus that isn't friendly to the city's favorite son. That's why a miscaptioned fight could ride the wave, because the stadium clip had already punched people in the feelings. Toronto gave the narrative its proof of concept image. The fight clip gave the narrative its "see, it's getting physical" beat. Whether or not that beat belonged to the same song, add an older spark, and the timeline gets even messier. On June 30th, 2024, At the Ignite Music Festival in Vancouver, Rick Ross ended his set by playing Not Like Us. He'd already chosen sides in the feud, dropping champagne moments that April after getting hit on Drake's push-ups. In Vancouver, the choice exploded. A man swung at Ross, a wider scuffle broke out, and the quote that travelled was brutal and simple. "Turn that off. Want to bang out?" Ross later downplayed injuries, mocked the attackers in interviews, and reframed the scene as a psychological win. He described it like a sloppy ambush, a thrown drink, not a punch, flipping humiliation into bravado. Whether you think that was spin or savvy, the effect was the same. The Vancouver clip became folklore. It told fans that yes, music can spill off the stage and into the crowd, especially in Canada, where Drake's loyalty runs deep. So when a fresh clip popped up after Toronto, people connected dots. Even if those dots weren't from the same picture, social signals made the fire hotter. Drake reportedly liked an Instagram post warning that if you've got issues with him, don't come to Canada. He posted stories around Canada Day that many readers celebrating the Ross incident. His supporters called it pride. Critics called it a cosign of violence. Same pixels, two interpretations, because in a feud this charged, we tend to see what we want to see. Meanwhile, other artists joined the chorus. 50 Cent made jokes about Ross's safety. Fans took sides, memes did laps, and every time the discourse drifted back toward lyrics, a new clip yanked it into the streets. There's also the industry layer, the one regular viewers feel in their bones without necessarily seeing the chessboard. The analysis that travelled, voiced by Whack 100, framed Kendrick's awards run as both earned and boosted by Drake's own moves. The claim, Not Like Us, swept big categories at the Grammys. Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and more, and Drake's legal actions against Universal Music Group, including accusations about stream manipulation and defamation, backfired by supercharging attention on Kendrick's record. Instead of dimming the spotlight, lawsuits seemed to crank it hotter. Add the perception, fair or not, that UMG favoured Kendrick, from alleged takedowns, holding patterns, to widely circulated handshake optics, and the internet decided the suits had picked a side. A single freeze frame of Dr. Dre high-fiving a UMG executive turned into a meme of a verdict. No press release required. One gesture, 1,000 interpretations. Media strategy became part of the battle plan too. In 616 in LA, Kendrick didn't unload on DJ Academics. He lightly tagged him, looking compromised. It was subtle but devastating in effect. After that line, a chunk of the audience heard Academics' commentary through a different filter. His defense of Drake, fair or not, arrived pre-flagged in their heads. That's how psychological warfare looks in 2025. Not censorship, but seed planting. Sprinkle a little doubt and let the fanbase harvest it on every timeline. Map the wider field, and you see why any 30-second clip shows up pre-labeled. Birdman and 50 Cent have voiced support for Drake. Metro Boomin, Kanye West, and Rick Ross lean toward Kendrick. J. Cole made moves, then apologized and stepped out. Veterans like Ice Cube, and even non-rap icons like Stevie Wonder, criticized the feud for its intensity or for overshadowing bigger issues. These aren't just random celebrities chiming in, they're signal boosters with audiences of their own. So when a scuffle hits feeds, it doesn't land on neutral ground. It lands in a neighborhood already painted in someone's colors. Let's circle back to the new clip with clear eyes and no caps lock. What can you say without guessing? It shows a scuffle. The people in it are said to be tied to Drake. It is not a fight with Kendrick's crew. The context is incomplete. We don't know who started it, what caused it, or what happened off camera. We do know it arrived at the perfect time to be misread. And we know that in a rivalry, this hot misreads travel faster than corrections. So how do you keep from getting played by captions? Use a quick caption trap checklist before you share. 1. Does the video itself show what the text claims, or is the caption asking you to imagine the connecting parts? 2. Can you identify anyone in frame with certainty, or are you trusting an account that profits from outrage? 3. Is the clip posted by a page pushing merch, monetized links, or follow for part 2 bait? 4. Does the narrative lean on an older incident, like Vancouver, to make this new one feel true? 5. Watch once with sound, once on mute. If the story changes without audio, be careful. If it crumbles without the caption, don't be the megaphone for someone else's spin. Now, why did Toronto hit the public nerves so hard? Because it tested identity. Cities claim artists, and artists claim cities. Drake didn't just rap about Toronto, he exported it, built parts of its look and lore into mainstream pop culture, and put weight behind it in real ways. That's not small, so when Kendrick walked into that building and led a chorus of a diss aimed at the city's guy, it felt like a civic betrayal to some, and a cultural evolution to others. You can love Kendrick and still feel the sting for Drake. You can love Drake and still admit the show was historic. Online, Nuance rarely survives the first repost. In real life, both things can be true at the same time. Here's the fairest split you'll hear tonight. Kendrick is winning the moment. Drake still owns a decade. Moments are fireworks, sudden, loud, impossible to forget. Legacies are skylines, built brick by brick until they define the horizon. You remember both, just differently. Toronto gave Kendrick a forever image. That image doesn't erase Drake's catalogue, tours, or impact, but images have power, and they can shape what casual fans feel when they reach for the play button or the ticket link. What happens next? Expect more stages and more lenses. If Kendrick keeps packing stadiums, Not Like Us will keep acting like a reflex in the crowd. Expect new music from Drake, whether a direct reply, a strategic pivot, or a hit that refuses to share the headline with a feud. Either path can work. Drake's best comebacks have often looked effortless. Also expect more clips. The algorithm rewards heat, not accuracy. Anything remotely adjacent to either camp will be framed as the rematch, even if it's a misunderstanding in a parking lot 2 neighborhoods away. When those videos drop, rewind the first 10 seconds and ask the only question that matters: is this a fight or a caption? A word on safety because it gets lost in the noise. Behind every frame are people, artists, crews, fans, security, ushers, camera techs, who go home to families. If you're at a show and the energy tilts from hype to hostile, step back. Get the shot, but don't get yourself in the middle. If you post, try not to be the hinge that swings a rumor into a riot. The line between music and identity is thin. The line between identity and violence is thinner. Artists make songs, fans make meaning. Meaning decides whether the night ends with a chorus or a concussion. Let's anchor the timeline one more time, quickly and cleanly. In 2013, Kendrick's Control verse challenged peers by name, including Drake. In 2024, the Like That line blew up the Big Three comfort zone. The diss runs escalated, and Not Like Us emerged as the record that stuck. On June 30th, 2024, Rick Ross closed his Vancouver set with Not Like Us, and a brawl broke out, an early example of the music's energy spilling into the crowd. On February 9th, 2025, Kendrick brought the record to Super Bowl 59, turning a diss into a civic-sized chant. On June 12th, 2025, Toronto's Rogers Centre turned that chant into an earthquake. Hours later, a new clip rocketed around the internet. It showed a scuffle involving Drake affiliates, not a clash with Kendrick's crew, right as emotions were peaking. The industry politics will continue to shape perception whether fans follow the paperwork or not. The narrative that won traction says Kendrick's awards run, Record of the Year, Song of the Year, plus 3 more, was both deserved and amplified by Drake's legal volleys against UMG. The claim is that takedowns, submissions, and lawsuits drew even more attention to Not Like Us, making the record a cause as much as a song. If a label's hand looked heavier on one side of the scale, even if only in memes. The audience read that as a decision, and decisions have consequences. Whack 100's framing, right or wrong, gave the public a simple story to carry. Drake's moves elevated Kendrick, not the other way around. Whether you agree is a separate issue. The point is how cleanly that narrative spread. Meanwhile, the media battlefield isn't going quiet. Kendrick's glancing line about academics looking compromised remains a masterstroke because it didn't need a knockout to win. It planted skepticism and walked away. Every time academics offered analysis that leaned toward Drake, the seeds sprouted. You can call that unfair. You can call it strategy. Either way, it worked as a perception play, and perception is the scoreboard casual fans read first. The map of voices remains split and loud. Birdman and 50 Cent on one side, Metro Boomin, Kanye West and Rick Ross on the other. J. Cole, who briefly waded in, reversed course and apologized. An unusual mid-beef maneuver that says as much about the stakes as any single diss. Elders of the culture and icons outside of it pointed out the obvious. Even the biggest rap soap operas shouldn't eclipse real-world issues that dwarf a chart battle. Those reminders matter, even if they get fewer likes than a spicy subtweet. How should fans who genuinely like both artists move through this without getting chewed up by the algorithm? The honest answer is probably how thousands did in Toronto, by showing up, singing loud, and accepting the contradiction that you can root for a dazzling performance even when it's aimed at your hometown hero. That's not betrayal. That's being a modern music fan who respects craft, spectacle, and the rare feeling of witnessing history live. There will be people who call it switching sides. There will also be a replay of the Toronto footage in every best live moments of the decade montage. Both things can live in your head without cancelling each other. If you're a Drake fan, here's the balanced version you won't get on a meme page. That stadium chorus was rough, and it doesn't erase the career you've celebrated for over a decade. Take the L for the night if you need to, then remember the wins that stack taller than a single chant. If you're a Kendrick fan, here's a reminder in the middle of a victory lap. Right now is yours. The images are yours. The momentum is yours. Use it to build bigger art and bigger rooms, not smaller circles. When the other side loses a round, resist the pull to dehumanize them. The point of winning a moment is to grow the culture, not fracture it. Now, a practical toolkit for the next viral moment, because it's coming. When the next fight clip drops, do 5 things before you repost. Identify faces, not rumors. Find the earliest upload and watch it unedited. Listen twice, then mute it to see if the story survives. Check the location and time, right after myths love the word tonight, even when the footage is old, and ask yourself who benefits if you spread it. If the only winner is a page selling hoodies, close the app for 5 minutes and reclaim your brain. You'll be shocked how much clarity returns when you're not sprinting to be first. One more uncomfortable truth we should say out loud. Some people want this to turn physical because they think it proves their loyalty. It doesn't. Loyalty you have to validate with your fists is just insecurity in a hoodie. The bravest thing a fan can do in 2025 is value their own safety, value strangers' safety, and let artists fight where they're supposed to, on records, on stage, and on charts. Anything else is cosplay with consequences. As for the 2 principles, Kendrick's next moves will tell us whether Not Like Us grows from an anthem into an era. If he keeps treating the song like a rally point in stadiums, the footage will stack until even skeptics admit the moment is bigger than a typical rap W. Drake's next moves will tell us whether he wants to play inside the feud or outside it. History says he can do either. A well-aimed record can melt discourse in a day. A left-turn hit can skip the discourse entirely. Both are tools only the truly massive artists get to wield. So no, the viral clip doesn't show Kendrick's people clashing with Drake's team. It shows something more familiar and more dangerous. The internet stitching a perfect plotline out of proximity, adrenaline, and a city still ringing from a chorus. If you want to be rare in a loud world, be careful. Watch the footage before you read the caption. Watch it again after you read the caption. And when the two don't match, trust your eyes, not the bold text. If you've stuck with me this far, you already know why we took our time. Hype is fast. Corrections are slow, but slow is how you keep your head when a feud this big tries to turn you into a marketing intern for one side or the other. The Toronto moment will live for a long time because it gave everyone an image to argue about. The Vancouver clip lives because it gave the discourse its first real bruise. The new scuffle is riding both of those images, pretending to be their sequel. Don't give it promotion it didn't earn. We'll keep doing what we do here, sorting signal from noise, verifying what can be verified, and saying, "We don't know yet," when that's the truth. You'd be amazed how powerful that sentence is once you get used to it. If you came in hot tonight, I hope you're leaving cool and still a fan of the music that makes all of this worth caring about in the first place. Drop your take. Was the Toronto Stadium eruption a passing spectacle or the beginning of a power shift? Does the miscaptioned fight clip change your view of either camp, or is it just more background chatter? If you've got receipts, share them. If you've got perspective, share that too. Keep it sharp and keep it human. You've been watching Scandal News. Stay curious, stay skeptical, protect your peace, and the next time a caption tries to do your thinking for you, make it earn the right.